Flosstube. This is Crystal with Stitching in the Green Mountains. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about cross stitch, and occasionally I'll add in some sewing, some knitting, and possibly some crochet down the road. I haven't done any for a while, but I do have some projects that are started but pending. And I also do some spinning, so I may at some point share some of the finished yarn that I have. I probably won't show you the actual spinning process, but just some of what I've created. So welcome. If you're new, I'm glad you found me. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm glad you're joining me again. So I had hoped to film yesterday, but I wasn't able to. I had a doctor's appointment in the morning for an old ankle injury. So that was actually a really successful appointment. So I was glad I got that taken care of. And had a little bit of a delayed start this morning. I thought I would be able to get to this much sooner than I was able to. People have been stopping by the house this morning. My husband and boys are gone. They went to help a friend at his camp in Eden, Vermont, so it's quite a ways away, with some work that needed to be done on the camp. So I thought I'd have a nice quiet day at home, but instead I've had people stopping in for various reasons. And I know my sister is planning to come at some point too, so I'll try to be brief and keep this to about half an hour. So let's just jump right into cross stitch. Now, 2 weeks ago when I filmed, I had said that I would not have as much time to work on my cross stitch, because my husband and I were going backpacking on the Long Trail, which is about 270 miles. It's a hiking trail that starts in Vermont, Massachusetts border and goes to the Canadian and US border in northern Vermont. So from border to border. We had hiked about 100 miles, and this year we were planning to do another 50-mile section, leaving over Labor Day weekend. We didn't actually get out there and start until I think noon was when we started hiking on Saturday of Labor Day weekend. I think, what was that, maybe the 4th, 3rd maybe? I don't remember the exact date. So yeah, we started around noon and we hiked to the first shelter, and which was good. We hadn't, hiked in 2 years, so I think it was about 5.5 miles. We got there in a few hours, so that wasn't bad. We took our time just to get our hiking legs back under us, and we spent the night there at that first shelter. We tented, and then the second day, on Sunday, we hiked, I think, just to the next shelter. It was a little more rugged terrain. We were expecting rain that evening. So when we got, it was like 6.5 or 7 miles, something like that. And when we got there around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we made it just in time, and it started downpouring. We had more daylight. We could have kept hiking, but we were lucky. We got there just before it started raining, and so we actually stayed in the shelter that night, and a couple other hikers ended up staying with us there. One tented. She had her dog with her, and then another person showed up later, pouring, drenched. The poor guy, he had hiked 22.5 miles that day, and he came, stumbling into camp, later in the evening. I think it was like 6 o'clock, and it was dark and pouring, and so he stayed and had dinner and stayed there that night, and then we all were up bright and early, daylight, and headed out the next morning, which was Monday and Labor Day. And then we were headed north. I think the other lady was headed north, so she was out ahead of us. And she had just been on the trail for over a week, so she already had her hiking legs under us, and she was doing a lot more miles per day than we were, so we knew we wouldn't see her again. The other guy was headed south, and he was wrapping up his day. I think he had 14 miles to finish and to come off the trail, and then he was done. He had hiked 170 miles in 10 days, so the guy was cruising. Not something that I can do. So kudos to him. So we had a fun, evening just chatting with those folks. And the next day, everything was wet. Oh my gosh. The afternoon, we got to the next shelter, we stopped for lunch, and we kept saying, oh, it looks pretty dark out. I think is it gonna rain? We were checking the weather, and we stayed there while we were eating. It poured again. So it was kind of like, after that, it was like hiking up a stream. Hiking in a stream was a good example of that. I think after the rain stopped, we continued hiking until dark that night. I think we covered about 9 miles that day. The end of the day, we had to hike what's called Mount Horrid. And we got almost to the summit, and it was dark, so we just pitched our tent and we stayed there. And then Tuesday morning when we woke up, it was cold. I mean, the temperatures in Middlebury, down in the valley below us, said that they were like 46. So it was colder than that up on top of the mountain. And then Tuesday was another long day. I think we only did like 8.5 miles, but we had to go over, I think there were 4 mountain peaks that day. I ended up calling my parents. We were supposed to hike a couple more days, but then the next day it was calling for thunderstorms, and my feet had blisters from the trails being so wet and muddy. So I called my parents, and they came and picked us up that night when we got out to the road crossing. We actually did a great job. We estimated that we would be at that road crossing around 5 o'clock in the evening, and it was 5 o'clock, and we could see the road, and my parents pulled in and we could see them. And so then we came down the rest of the way, and it was perfect timing. My mom brought homemade chocolate chip cookies, and they brought a big thing of water for us. And so it was fun. My husband and I, we had a great time, but we only accomplished about 30 miles. We were hoping to do 50, but we did 30. So it was more progress than last year. So that was fun. So I did have a little bit more stitching time because we came off the trail 2 days earlier than planned, which was great. And I had said that I would have the wedding sampler for my cousin complete by the time I filmed this video. I do not. Which, long story, 5 more minutes. I told you all about my trip, but I'll show you where I'm at. So this is for my cousin Megan and her husband. They got married August 14th of 2021. And let's see here. This is what I have left. Let's see if I can show you, back it up a little bit. So just a little bit over here, and then I think I have just a little bit more in this area to complete. So I'm so close. Sorry, back in the frame here. Yes, so very close. Probably just need, 3-4 more hours, and I'll be able to wrap that up. So, not complete like I had hoped. I did get distracted, and I'll show you with what distracted me. So I'll keep working on this, and we'll see a finish very soon. I just need a few more hours to wrap it up. And next, I worked on oh, what, I always forget the name of this. Newcastle Bouquet. So I had to look at my notes. So Newcastle Bouquet by Teresa Kogut. And here's where I'm at. So I was able to put a little bit more of this flower. Well, actually put the flower in here. I didn't have that before, and I put the red on this one, and I started, I think I got the, I don't remember if the B was in there, if I completed the B and I started the C. Anyways, got a little bit more progress on this. This is 40 count linen. Looks like it's a Zweigert base, but it's got the orange edging there. So made some progress. I worked on that. We had a cookout to go to Saturday, last weekend, Saturday, not Labor Day, but the following weekend after that. So I did a little bit of work on it while I was at the cookout, not too much. There was just so many people and conversations going on. It was hard to focus on it. It was a cookout, banquet cookout for my husband and my dad. They play in a horseshoe league all summer long, every year. They've been partners, I think, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. And this year they took first place overall in the for the season. And then my husband had the high ringers. So they got trophies, and they do a big cookout at the end of the year and socialize. They play a little tournament where they draw numbers and they get mixed up with a different partner. So so we had to stay that whole time. So yeah, that was, I worked on that a little bit while I was there, and then I did have one other day, the 16th, which is, my birthday is on the 16th of May, so on the 16th of September I took it out again and I worked on it a little bit more. So not a whole lot of progress, but I did get a few more stitches in. I have also been working on the flowers of the month. I don't have a picture of this pattern. I should have brought my photo of the Teresa Kogut pattern, and I didn't bring it with me. That's okay. I'll show you next time. So this next one is a free pattern, and so I don't have a cover sheet that shows everything. I did share some of it in my last video. It's called Flowers of the Month, and it is a free pattern by EMS Design. It's Ellen Maurer-Stroh, Ellen, E-L-L-E-N, Maurer, M-A-U-R-E-R hyphen S-T-R-O-H. So I've been stitching this on a 28 count even weave fabric. It's a Lugana, and it's antique white, and I am using the called for DMC floss. And here's where I'm at. So I put, let's see, share this without distorting it too much. There we go. So this carnation bud is complete, and so is this one here. This carnation has been started. I still have some more stitching to put in here for the green. There are 4 shades of green in this here, and they're so very close. It's hard to tell them apart sometimes. And then there are 4 different shades of pink in the carnations. And I was working on one in here the other night. I don't know, it was late at night, and I kept thinking, gosh, something's wrong. This doesn't look right. And so I went back and I had to go, I made a mistake. So now I have to tear out this whole bottom. I missed a row, so these should be set down one more row. So they should be a little bit closer to this border, this frame. So I'm gonna have to take those out and correct that. So that was frustrating to discover, but I'll take those out and get that fixed. It won't take too long. I'm doing a pin stitch when I start and finish, and pin stitch is actually very difficult to take out. I was surprised because I've had to, you know, fix a number of errors, but I mean, that's good. It's in there nice and secure, but yeah, I'll have to work on that. I just need good light to do so. Once I get it started, it won't take very long. And that, I think I mentioned, that was the called for DMC floss on the 28 count even weave antique white Lugana fabric. So there was that one. And I did show, sorry, I sip my coffee here. I did show this pattern in my last video, and I couldn't wait. So I started, and this is what distracted me from finishing the wedding sampler. I put time into this one. Here we go. So this is Beggar's Night by Threadwork Primitives. And that's October 31st. It's got the white pumpkin in here, the urn, and some little pumpkin vine leaves, the big crow or raven. This is a raven. We have a whole family of ravens. I'm not sure what they're called when they're grouped together. This whole group of ravens, and they are very, very vocal. Yeah. I know my ducks watch them. They tip their heads and they watch them when they fly over. That is, I'm stitching that with the, well, I think it'll be mostly the called for DMC floss, which is here, just on this fabric. I'm missing one color. I purchased the floss at Joann's. I had a coupon for that. So there was one color that they didn't have in stock, which I kept checking when I was picking them out, and I thought I had it, but when I got home, it wasn't there. So must be I read one of the numbers twice. I think it's 3012 and 3021. So yeah, I think I just made that mistake. Excuse me, let me take a sip here. Throat, got a little frog in my throat this morning. So I started this on September 13th. And I think I also shared October 31st is my husband's birthday. So that's kind of why I wanted to stitch this one, so we'd hang it up for him. So I finished the urn. I don't think I have the camera positioned well this week. So I've got the urn and I've started the pumpkin, which is a little difficult to see the pumpkin on this color fabric. This fabric is a Weeks Dye Works 35 count beige linen. It's just an 8 by 12 piece. You can see my hoop mark. I was up until about 12:30 this morning working on this. I just lightly pressed it, but the hoop, yeah, I didn't work at it too hard to get the hoop mark out. I just took out a bulk of the wrinkles. Yeah, so it's coming along nicely. I think it's nice. I am stitching this one thread over two strands of linen, so 1 over 2, which is what it calls for. I considered using 2 strands of floss, but I think I'm okay with the 1 strand. It has a little bit of like a shadowy effect to it, which I think is okay because it, I mean, gives it a little bit of a spooky effect. don't know, it may not, once it's all done and pressed out, the coverage looks pretty good. So I think I'm okay with it being one strand. I had considered two, but I think one is all right. So that was a new start. And I had mentioned that I had a bunch of different fabric for making more project bags, since there were more projects that I wanted to start. So I actually made one yesterday, and here it is. So it's a nice fall fabric. I did not have this fabric when I did my last video, so you haven't seen this one before. This was new. I got this one while I was on vacation. When we came back early from our hiking trip, I went to the fabric store one afternoon. I had told my husband I wanted to decorate for fall, so we got some pumpkins and mums for the front porch, and I got some little gourds to put inside on one of the little tables, the small table in my kitchen. You know, and then I just have a longer burger basket, like woven basket like that, round, and I put apples in there. So it's all, you know, fallish. And I took off my tablecloth on that table, and I was looking for a fall tablecloth, and I realized I did not, and my tablecloths are in this basket up here. I didn't have a fall tablecloth. So I said, oh, I need to go to the fabric store. So this is the fabric I purchased for the tablecloth, and I wanted this green, this kind of mottled green, as a wide border on the edge where it drops down. Interestingly, when I cut the fabric, my husband and son were sitting there talking, and I cut it too short. So what I ended up doing was I just cut a 1-inch strip, and I did a frame. So I have the center in this leaf fabric, and then I did a little, so it'd be a 1/2 inch wide, kind of a frame all the way around the edge, and then added more of this fabric. So I think 3 more inches of this, and then I did my wide borders. So it has two rows of this green mottled fabric. So I fixed it. It took me a little bit of thinking, but yeah. So it's a new project bag, and then I just lined it with a white cotton fabric that I had purchased. So real simple. So I think this will house my Beggar's Night pattern, or piece, the project that I'm working on. So I just finished that one yesterday. I had a little bit of time between getting home from my doctor's appointment and meeting my husband and son, and we had to go car shopping last night with my son. He needs to purchase a different vehicle, so that was car shopping. Oh, there is a shortage of cars at dealerships right now. So what a frustrating experience. But we won't go too far into that. I have had this urge to, like, desire to shop. I've been looking at new patterns. You know, they just had new market releases for the fall. But I didn't want to spend any more money. I have a number of patterns kitted that I need to work on, and I have a lot of patterns in progress. So I don't need to purchase anymore. So instead, I took some time and I went through my stash, and I knew I had things kitted, so I was just looking through them. I thought I'd share with you a few that I have kitted, and maybe you can make a recommendation on what I should start. So this is an old pattern that I have actually stitched in the past. It is La-Di-Da, ABCD. It's an alphabet. So there, yeah, it's a nice view, I think. So this, I've had this kitted for a number of years. I just haven't done it yet. So this is a 28 count fabric, just a very neutral, light beige linen. You know, I purchased it at what was my local needlework shop in Stowe years ago. They have closed, but this has been waiting for me to get motivated. And I picked out Gentle Arts Presidential Blue for the floss. So let's see, let's share that, which I think is really sharp. I like that. Blue is my favorite color, so that has been tucked away waiting for me. So that is one option. Option one. Try not to make too much noise here today. I tried to take everything out of the plastic. The next one I have is by Hand Blessings. It's a Deer in the Winter Mist. So this is what that one looks like. I was going to start this one earlier this year, but I ran into a little roadblock personally on this one. So I had and again, I purchased this at my, what was my local needlework shop a number of years ago. This is the fabric. It is a 28 count linen. I think it's beautiful. It's called Ice Blue is the color. So that's the fabric that was purchased for this pattern. She did a conversion for me for DMC, and because she didn't have the silk floss that it was recommended. So I have DMC 3021, which is the brown, and DMC 498, which is the red for that little bird. You can see down here there's a much lighter color, and then that is done with just one strand of floss, where the rest is 2 strands of floss. So how the color, the shading occurs in the design that way. But earlier this year when I was placing an order, I actually decided to order the silk that was called for in this design, and that is this one here, Splendor. See if it focuses. I don't know. It's a 12 ply silk. And it was, I paused because it looks almost purple to me. It doesn't look brown. So I keep laying it on the fabric going, will it look purple when I put it on there, or will it look brown? So I'm gonna have to try and stitch a little bit on this particular fabric and see how it works. I've never stitched with silk before, so I'm curious to try it. I think it's beautiful, but that's what's caused me some hesitation on starting this piece. But this is option number 2. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I try this silk, or should I just go with the DMCs? I think I'll use the red anyways, just because it's such a small, I don't know, so few stitches. It doesn't make sense to buy the silk for just a few stitches like that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions for me on that. So that was option number 2 that's been sitting there waiting for me. And I also have this adorable little pattern. It's a Lizzie Kate. It is Forgive Quickly is the name of it. It says Forgive Quickly, Kiss Slowly. So it's a tiny little piece. It says approximate design size is 7.5 inches wide by 2.5 inches in height. So I had a remnant piece of linen that would work perfect for this. It's actually really long, but that would work perfect for this little pattern. And I went through my floss and I just pulled a DMC. So I think I could stitch it. It's DMC 498 in this red with this pattern. And that would actually look cute in my entryway next to my Simply I Love You cross stitch. So that was option number 3. And then I showed, this is a recent purchase, this pattern. I did purchase it recently. It is Quaker Farm. And it was in a red work, but I love blue. I mean, I like red too. I have a red kitchen, but blue is just my favorite color. And I went through my fabrics and I have this piece of 32 count lamb's wool that this could work on. And I have just pulled a DMC floss from my stash. What is this one? This is number 3750. So I like that one. So I thought I've got that option number 5. Wow. So I really don't need to go shopping. I do have lots of options. And then I did share with you in November, I do plan to start this large project, which is One Nation. And here's the chart for the, or pattern design, I guess. So this one is very, very large. I had said that my floss was on order. It has arrived, and I do have my fabric. This is a 1/2 yard piece of fabric. It is humongous. Let's see. See how big it is? It's huge. This is, picture this plus 1/2 yard of 28 count ale cashel linen. It's a 26 inch by 35 inch piece. So that is going to be a lot of stitching. So I plan to begin this pattern on Veterans Day here in the US, which is November 11th. I told my mother about that and she's like, why wait? And I said, oh, why November 11th? She said, and I said, well, I just thought that that would be a good day to begin. It's a Veterans Day, it's patriotic, and it's my father's birthday, it's my middle son's birthday. I just thought that that would be appropriate. It would be nice. I've got, as I mentioned last time, my oldest son is also in the military. So I just thought that that would be good. And then the floss came in, and my husband had picked out the floss, and he thought the DMC, he liked those best compared with the overdyed floss. He didn't know. I just showed him the colors on online. I didn't tell him which was DMC or which was overdyed. I didn't tell him pricing. I just said, what do you think of this color compared to this color? And each time he preferred the DMC. So it was a significant price difference too. So I went ahead and I happily ordered the 24 skeins of DMC floss that are needed for this pattern. So that one is set aside, waiting for November to begin, which is going to be difficult to wait until then. So that was my last one that I have all kitted up and ready to go. So if there are thoughts and suggestions that you have about the silk on the Deer in the Mist or Deer in the Winter Mist design that you can share with me, I would appreciate it. That would be great. And then if anybody has any recommendations on what they might like to see me begin working on out of the 5 I think I shared that are all kitted up, then yeah, let me know. So yeah, that was everything I had for now. Just over half an hour, so I'm going to pause here, I believe. Yeah, so thank you. I hope you liked seeing what I had going on. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I'll try to video again in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I have to take my youngest son to the DMV that morning, so we'll see how that day works out. I have to take him to get his driver's license. He passed his test and he has just a temporary license, but he has to get his actual photo taken and get his license within 90 days of the temporary. So we have a scheduled appointment on October 1st for that, which I believe is 2 weeks from now. So I'll try to film. We'll see how that works out. I may have to do it on Saturday. We'll see. But in the meantime, happy stitching, be safe, be well. Thank you. Bye.